Hey, what is up guys? This is 33rd Frame, and I think I finally finished my Sigma FP build. However, there is one problem. I have a really short USB-C cable that's capable of doing the high power data, 40 gigabytes a second. And it's really short and it's got like the proper bends and stuff, but I can't find it for the life of me, so I'm gonna have to buy another one. The whole purpose of this design is to be as streamlined as possible, and that kind of gets ruined whenever you have a cord sticking out like this. But there are really short USB-C cables that can have the proper bends and elbows and things like that, so you can have this laying really flat. I recommend this one right here to be angled backwards and this one right here to be angled this way. So for the sake of this video and not having this thing bother the hell out of me, I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. But anyways, here it is. This is the 33rd Frame Sigma FP build, and let's try to get a little closer so I can show you some of the features of it. Right here, we're using the 2230 NVMe drive converter to USB-C. This one is GE and it works really well. I will say I'm personally not a fan of GE just because I feel like their engineering department is really awesome, but their customer service department is exceptionally terrible. So if you're a manufacturer who wants your enclosure to be added to this list, it's not that hard. I left this TPU insert here so that you can adjust the tension of how strong it is in there, whatever you want, without having to reprint the whole thing. The handle is completely to personal taste. Once you unscrew it, the handle then just slides down and off. There's a new version that's gonna add a little bit more material right here to kind of give it a better grip. But currently this is definitely good enough. If you're using PLA or TPU, I recommend TPU HF from Polymaker because it's stiff enough not to be like gummying around while you're holding it, but it's still got a little bit of give to kind of give your fingers a nice comfortable grip. On the other side, this one is what took me the longest time. We have the port IO kind of breakaway, and I didn't screw it on yet because I wanted to show you guys kind of how it works. We have two adapters, and I'll have links to these adapters in the description. I found them on Amazon. Oh, there we go. One is a mini HDMI to HDMI. Make sure you get it to where the curved part is on the inside of the elbow, so the flat part of the HDMI is directed away from the elbow. So you see here you have your mic jack. Now this might require a specific mic plug. Luckily the audio port just fits with this HDMI converter, so that's really good. It probably won't fit an elbow joint just given how deep it is. So you just push in the HDMI converter thing, then you get your USB-C, you pull this flap back. Yeah, grab my foldy flaps. And you just kind of snap that in. And then you take this top plate here, which is going to screw down everything and lock it together. You put that on, make sure that these little flaps are through these gaps. You can use M2 self-tapping screws, 6 millimeters long, to screw into these little holes. I think there's 5 of them just to lock this plate down. And that provides a little bit of pressure onto the HDMI and the USB-C connector so that they're like locked to the camera so that if anything gets pulled or yanked, it's gonna either A, damage the cable, or B, damage the adapter, but it's not gonna damage the camera, and that was something that was really important. However, I will say you probably don't need these self-tapping screws because the 1/4 inch thread screw hole right there, that's gonna be more than good enough. Oh yeah, so a lot of you shrewd people might have noticed that, hey, 33rd Frame, this is all great and stuff, but it seems like you're blocking the photo and cinema mode, and well, shoot, now I can't change my modes. Actually, that's just super easy, barely an inconvenience. I got this little switcher right here, and it switches between photo and camera. There's photo, and there's video. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this helps you get your Sigma FP into a more functional camera. Well, here it is, all said and done. Obviously, there are a few things I'd like to change in this design. Like, I had this idea to put the M.2 drive in the handle and not up here, and I realized, like, wait a second, that's so much better. Why wouldn't I do that? But we don't have to reach for perfection, so let's just say good enough, right? Haha! Anyone who knows me knows that is definitely not the case. It's actually a day and a half later, and I did it. I made the new version because as I was finishing up editing this video, I realized that this idea was just too good not to use. Now, as you can see, there is one glaring issue, that is the USB cable. And the reason why this thing is so jank is because I had to cut these supports off this USB to make it bend better. Now, I've since bought, and it's on its way, a flat USB cable that's gonna come out this way, and then the other end kind of goes up, and it's the perfect length. You can see you have a cold shoe right here for a microphone. It's not gonna support a handle, I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty strong material. I mean, maybe it would, but realistically, I don't think it's a good idea to put a top handle on this right here. The handle, in my opinion, is more comfortable, which I find to be strange. My wife also agrees. This is like ergonomic, right? But something about it just doesn't quite work as well as something just nice and smooth. I think it's probably the fact that you can get your fingers really good around that right there, and that's very nice. So I quite like this handle a lot, given the fact that you also can just slide this down in here a lot easier. It's a little stiff right now, and if it is a little stiff, don't worry, it'll loosen up. Most of the friction holding this is going to be the USB-C connection, which will weaken over time, and that's why I included this little TPU insert here, because you might need to print this a little thicker if the USB connection gets so weak that it's no longer kind of tightly holding. Oh, and these 4 holes right here are to get to the screws that lock this thing down to this plate here. It's actually 3 pieces, the handle, the plate, and then the side plate, and they're just connected via M2 self-tapping screws. What's really great about that is a lot of people said, hey, I think your design is cool, but I don't use an M.2 drive. However, I really do like your I/O port breakaway thing, and now you can actually just use that. Just unscrew the front plate and unscrew the side handle, and then you can just use this side plate. I imagine this thing might actually be the most popular out of everything I've done here, because there's almost no one who won't want a full HDMI that's really well locked down, and of course you also get your USB-C as well. The great part about that is I can be kind of rough with this without worrying. The adapter's not free, but it's definitely not as expensive as the camera, so if anything goes wrong or if I'm putting a lot of wear on this adapter, we're fine. We can always unscrew everything, take the adapter out, and put a new one in. I cannot wait for the new USB-C cable to arrive, because this thing is a fly in my soup. The new cable has something like this that puts it down and puts it flat. The reason why I don't just use another connector is because then it's like too long, right? So you want it to be like right there, and that's perfect. And then that'll sit just like this pretty much, nice and flat. And then we can kind of adjust this cable's, length and stuff. You have 5 screw holes in this front plate that you can design something different or adjust things the way you want them. Anyways, guys, this is 33rd Frame. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.